Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Finance and General Purpose Committee meeting. This meeting is taking place on Tuesday, the 14th of June 2022 at 6:30 p.m. at the Stanley Civic Hall, and it's live streamed to YouTube. It will be available for a minimum of 6 months, so please be aware the footages from the meetings can be used in media broadcasts. I'm Gordon Binney, Chair of the Finance and Purpose Committee, and would like to extend a warm welcome to members, officers, members of the public, the media who are watching this on stream. So we move on to the first item on the agenda, which is apologies for absence.
And I haven't received any further apologies.
Is the committee happy to accept those apologies? Okay, move on to item 2, which is declarations of interests. Does any members have any interest to declare on the matters on the current evening's agenda? No? Okay, we move on to item 3. I haven't even got me. I've got this one. Sorry, I haven't got any as a chair. I don't have any announcements to make. I don't know if you have.
Chair, I've just got one request really from yourselves and the committee to see if we can move an item straight to full council rather than it coming to Finance and General Purpose meeting. First, today I received an email from Durham County Council in relation to the Anfield Plain communal room, also known as the Old Man's Hut. I'll be honest, I was always led to believe that we owned it through various different conversations, and I think some of our councillors believed that we owned it as well. However, that isn't the case. And today Durham County Council contacted me to ask if they could firm up the lease arrangements around the building, which I'm presuming when they talk about the lease arrangements, it would be a very similar lease arrangement as we have on this building. The arrangement that we currently have on the Anfield Plain Hut is what they call a tenancy at will on the premises, which is basically there's the building, do as you please with it, but they now want a more firm arrangement. So the tenancy at will agreement was signed on the 19th of April 2017. Looking back at old minutes and things like that, there does appear to be a suggestion that there had been tried to have an asset transfer, but that doesn't look like it's gone through, hence this current agreement. I will need, obviously this information has only come through today, but I believe it's something that needs to be discussed quite urgently. The Anfield Plain hut isn't really used massively. It runs at a loss to us. We pay more out than what we actually get in. So I do believe it needs a decision made by full council sooner rather than later. Therefore, I would recommend we don't bring it to the next meeting of the Finance and General Purpose Group, but that we take it straight to June's full council meeting to have it discussed, if that's okay with everybody else.
Is everybody okay with that? Yeah. And you've got enough time within that period to get all the relevant information you need?
Yeah, I've pretty much been pulling it together today because I didn't want to go back to Durham and sort of without some of the information that I had anyway. So it basically just needs to be put into a report, and then it'll be out in the agenda for the June full council meeting. Yeah.
Okay, then we're happy to accept that. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Move on to the next item, which is public participation. Do we have any?
We've had no questions and no members of the public present tonight.
Okay, we'll move on to the next item, which is confirmation of the minutes for the Finance and General Purpose Committee held on the 10th of May. Are the members Happy to approve that as an accurate record? Yes. Okay, we've got a mover and a seconder. Right. We've got a seconder? Alex. Okay, we'll move on. Which is the payment and bank reconciliations for the April 2022 accounts. The members asked to consider the information and approve the payments of accounts and note of the bank reconciliations. Are we happy to do that, or is there issues to be questions raised? Councillor Clark.
I've just got a question about the £20,000 that we've given to Reese. Obviously, with the recent pantomime that he's had on. Just what is it?
Chair, you all right? Yeah. That is the first part payment for the Christmas pantomime. That's not for the Wizard of Oz pantomime. That's for the Christmas That's for the first payment for the Christmas pantomime.
Councillor Milburn.
Yeah, it's just on attachment D, on the mixed payments, the e-payments account. Is there something supposed to be in there, or is it just blank because there are no payments on the...
Obviously Anne's not here today, so she does submit our apologies. So if anybody does have any questions that I won't be able to answer, if you want to email me those questions in, and I'll put that to Anne just to double check. I'm presuming it's because that there's nothing, no information in there.
It's just the little, so, as someone pointed out, that little icon in the corner looks like it hasn't been
expanded.
Yes.
So. But I will double check with Anne,
okay, yeah.
and then we can, and then I'll make sure that's shared. But if anybody does have any questions, if you do send them through to us, I'll make sure they get to Anne. I have spoken to her today because she's been answering a couple of queries, even though I've asked her to rest. We'll get those questions answered as soon as we can.
I'll move them, Chair.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay, we'll move on to the next item, which is the action log, verbal report from the town clerk.
The action log hasn't really changed very much from the last time we met. I've continued to chase the Police and Crime Commissioner's office in relation to the support they were going to find us to support the 2 vans that are currently outside of their 3-year warranty. Dave Stewart has been in touch with me because those vans are now due for service. So he needs to know whether we're going to continue to pay for them. So it is on my radar. We chased it last week, so I'll chase it again this week because I still haven't heard anything. And that's all on the action log at the moment.
Is the committee happy to just to note that? Yeah. Okay, we move on to the next item, which is item 8, which is the attendance review, attachment E. Have you got something to say on that, Philip?
Obviously, attachment E, I've had to double check this a couple of times, and we have referred back to having to watch some of the old videos just to make sure it's right. So we believe it's as right as it is going to be at the moment. If anybody has any comments to make, you know, that it is there. It is what it is. I would encourage the different elements to encourage people to attend their meetings. Some people have sailed slightly closer to the wind than others. So I suppose it's for you to discuss how you want to take that forward and maybe put a plan in place as to how you want to to have if there is any action you would like to take. Obviously there is a 6 month rule, and if people do miss those six meetings, there is an automatic presumption they no longer want to be a town councillor. So,
Councillor Clegg?
I suggest we have a register there. We'll sign it when we come in on a night. That's the way we've always done it.
Is everyone happy to do that? Do we go back to the old system? Councillor Clark?
I'm not sure what people think, but would it be maybe it's possible for something to be sent out to every councillor, giving them a nudge, just suggesting that obviously we're not here for ourselves, we've been elected by the general public to be their representatives and make sure that we're doing the best that we can under circumstances. And I appreciate that not everybody can get to every single meeting. It's not that's not an issue, but I think maybe it's a little gentle reminder of what the rule actually is, and maybe it's a little nudge to get here if people think that's sensible.
Yeah, Councillor Mabel?
Yeah, can I just agree with Helen there? It's one of those things that happens everywhere. And giving them a nudge, just sending them a letter out to say this is the situation and explaining the 6 month rule. I don't think that's out of the way at all. I think that's perfectly sensible.
Are we okay to agree that as a committee? Okay, we'll do that as an action. Thank you. Move on to item 9, which is the events update.
So the events group are meeting tomorrow because we are starting to really get into our schedule of events for 2022, with Armed Forces Day being held on the 26th of June, which has been placed on Facebook and our website and is being quite well received. We obviously, everybody had an email in relation to that working group, and Councillor Tully is going to come along to that working group, and the current existing members have been invited. So far we'll have attendance from Councillor Binney, Councillor Tully and Councillor Ferry, but it is basically to start sort of putting in firmer plans about the event schedule that we've got. One of the events that I sort of wanted to raise this evening to sort of put it out there, but it is really for further discussion tomorrow night, is the 75th memorial of the Louisa Morrison mining disaster. I don't think at the time it's maybe been noted that it was the 75th memorial of that disaster. And today I met with Michael from the Morrison Lodges Banner Group, who obviously they want to celebrate in Anfield Plain Park. Hadn't really realised that we were also doing Miners Sunday on the 21st of August. So tomorrow's events working group, we maybe need to discuss, is it something they do is joint with us, or how we could support their event as well. So I just sort of wanted to address that specific event because it is coming up quite soon, and it's something that's very close to the residents of Stanley, and obviously especially Anfield Plain, and it's the 75th memorial of that disaster. So I know he has also been working with Councillor Nicholson and Councillor Bell as well around this. So we'll sort of see what happens, and hopefully we might be able to get something going.
Councillor Nicholson?
Yes, we've been working towards this event. We've actually come up with a gift to give to the miners who turn up on the day, and a poem, and as we speak they're finalising the details of what will happen. The disaster, they came up in Anfield Plain. And that's the reason for this. We will also tonight be, although I'm not there, they'll be discussing a more permanent memorial in Anfield Plain. Because we felt it vitally important that although the memorial come down here, that Anfield Plain had a memorial, and that's what we'll be working to the, you know, to recognise the disaster and the consequences to it. Olga, that's not a permanent memorial. That's a memorial that will disappear at some point. It's wood. and we've been down the wooden trail before when we had to repair the coal tubs, and it cost an awful lot of money to repair.
Okay, thanks for that, Councillor Nixon. Is the members happy to receive? Okay. And welcome aboard, Councillor Tully. Move on to the next item, which is item 10. Sorry.
I'm sorry, I missed this. I missed the boat with it. But could you put my name on the list as well? Thanks. And can you tell us what time the meeting is? That would help.
I'll say welcome aboard, Councillor Milburn. Right, we move on.
6 o'clock tomorrow.
6 o'clock, yeah. That's Greenwich Mean Time. Right, we move on to the next item, item 10, which is the meeting schedule and committee structures. I think you've got something to say on this, Helen?
So following the last the AGM where we talked about the committee structure and the meeting schedule, I sent out an email to all councillors, you know, to find out to try and encourage more attendance. You know, what date and time was best for people. Because should the committee structure be changed in any way? Should we add in any more working groups, things like that? I got quite a good response. I didn't get a response from everybody, I'll be honest. I didn't get a response from anybody. But the main consensus is that the meeting schedule works for most people. You know, it's been in a long time. People, you know, you get it 12 months in advance. And it works. You know, those people who attend are able to fit their other commitments around it. So the meeting schedule itself appears to be agreed by those people who responded. All of the all had the same opinion that the full council in this meeting worked as they were. In relation to the committee structure. Obviously, there was discussions at the last meeting around the political balance of this meeting, and I have raised that, and obviously we are meeting as was here. I don't know whether the chair's able to update us on that.
No, but I think we're happy to consider it. It would be probably worthwhile discussing that at full council, because in principle I don't think there's any strong objection to it, because we're trying to build a consensus. So we'll discuss that at the full council.
Perfect. And there were no real suggestions that came forward in relation to working groups. I, however, would like to put a suggestion in relation to two working groups. One is a staffing working group, where it's a smaller group of councillors that can be consulted around staffing issues rather than having to bring it to a full council meeting. Because sometimes it's on a need-to-know basis, really, of staffing issues. And the other one is, and I appreciate there may have been something like similar to this in the past, is possibly a smaller working group in relation to the future of the building. A group of councillors who will take things forward, who are able to feed back in you know, are able to, rather than meeting as a whole group. I think it's very difficult to get everybody together as a whole group. Whereas if you have a smaller group, working group discussing the building, I do think things may work a little bit faster sometimes, fingers crossed, and obviously be able to be considered and then fed back into the different areas. So that was they were my, as a clerk, thoughts on it. But as a general consensus in relation to the feedback I received on both the meeting schedule and the committee structure, people were happy to remain as is. So I don't know whether you want to have a little discussion, and recommend the way forward.
Any comments, anybody? Councillor Nicholson?
Can I just say I'd absolutely warmly welcome a proper staffing. For too long, finance and general purposes, who was where it would have come, has not had the welfare of all of our staff. And for me, the staff are the very most important thing in this business that we run. And without the right staff and the right consideration to staff, we'll get things wrong. So I would firmly love to have a committee that just is solely responsible for all the staffing issues, whatever they happen to be.
Councillor Martin?
I was just to say that I agree with Joan. I think a staffing committee is a good idea. To have a committee or a work group, whatever you want to call it, that is designed to deal with the staffing issues that we might have, might make the process of making decisions around the staff and dealing with those problems easier. I do think if we are to have that kind of working group, then perhaps we should look at having the councillors that go on that group trained in some way in dealing with staffing issues, because it is quite complex and it can be quite a touchy subject. So if there's any training or support that can be given to councillors who are then going to be on that working group making that decision, then that's probably a good thing to have in place.
Thank you. Everybody agree?
I'd agree with that as well. About the
Oh.
staffing.
I would say as well, I think one of the things that we need to consider is a smaller group of skilled people. I ties in with what Councillor McMahon's just said, because things been designed by committee does have an effect sometimes, and if a small focus group can get things done at a faster pace, it'll probably set up an idea where you've got, I think it's these task and complete groups that people operate, finished groups. Probably as a council we could benefit for that in terms of these crises that come up from time to time. We can get people to focus on it. So personally I think that's a good idea. And so are we happy as a committee to agree that? Okay. See that again. It's the time and venue for the next meeting, which is July the 12th, 6:30 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time.